In 1980, renowned urbanist William Whyte made the social life of small urban spaces based on observations made in New York City. 34 years later, this short film explores whether his observations apply to China. In hot summer of 2014, we set up our observatory at a public square alongside Guanqian Street, one of the busiest commercial streets in Suzhou, Jiangsu Province. The plaza selected stands in front of Xuanmiao Temple, a Taoist temple constructed in AD 276. It's a historic site with dozens of shops along the eastern and western sides. It's a large open space used by locals and tourists alike. With seats in the center, the plaza is a well-used location to rest, read, eat, and chat. Others take exercise, or just hang around apparently waiting for something. Some are waiting for friends. Others just seem to be waiting for something to happen. This film compares and contrasts with Whyte's using similar methods for comparison. Like Whyte's film, the researchers took records of what people did and why. Unlike Whyte's film set in New York, the summer in this part of China is hot and humid, so over many long, hot days, the team documented where people sat, stood, read, grouped together, sat apart. We looked further into the reasons for and perceptions of people's actions. We have come up with 5 key points forming people's appreciations of public space. Sun. It's a beautiful day in July. The temperature is over 30 degrees. People are gradually gathering to the plaza. Pay attention to where they sit. Unlike Whyte's film, where people moved into the sun, unsurprisingly, here people are looking for shade. The presence of shadows, shade, and sun protection is key to good public space. Nature. We interviewed many people. Many said that they liked sitting near nature. Unlike Whyte's research, which focused on the desirability of water features, which were not present on our site. People seem to like the presence of trees for shade and a feeling of nature. Whyte's water features were, in many ways, unnatural designed elements. The presence of real nature in China seems to have a value in itself. If it can be incorporated, it is a sensible design element to enhance the space. It's a simple win. Sitting. Like Whyte's movie, Chinese people also like to sit and will sit wherever they can. Unlike Whyte's film, here we have only bench seating instead of individual chairs. It seems to be appreciated, providing a space for sitting in communal groups and a service for playing cards. In Whyte's film, people instinctively move away from others to get some privacy in public space. On the contrary, here, people move benches to be closer together. So we have shade and sitting, but a formal space that seems to have been designed to Whyte's guiding principles, with seats, shade, protection, small concession stands, etc., and located just off the main route, is not well used at all. On the contrary, the place is generally empty. The shaded sitting areas provided was simply not used. Why? The observation and interview provides two potential reasons. Firstly, many people are uncertain whether this space is private. They don't know if they are allowed in. People said that they might be embarrassed to sit here without buying foods and drinks. Also, the fence divides this area from the park. At some degree, it suggests that this area is not public space. Secondly, the formal seating arrangement, facing each other over a fixed table, is off-putting. Compared with the designated formal seating area, separated off from the main public space, it is clear that the informal seating area inside a park is much more welcoming. Proximity. Chinese people in public space are unconcerned about the proximity of strangers. They all sit very close together. But they're happy to talk to each other over long distances. Whereas Whyte's film showed people creating physical private spaces for themselves in the public sphere. Here, people seem to have created mental private space. There's little concern about what others think. Individuals are seldom distracted by the public square. Are they engaged in the public realm? Is this a public area? Or isolated individuals within that public square? The concept of private space in the public area, as well as the notion of public space in private, is clearly very different to Whyte's Western formulation. Noise. This aspect doesn't compare and contrast with Whyte's film because the soundtrack did not convey the noise of a busy central New York street. But here, in this Chinese city center square, the noise is relentless. All day, the plaza is filled with loud music, advertising blaring from speakers in front of shops. Meanwhile, this silversmith is hammering relentlessly, all day, every day, hammering to the beat of his own music track. Nevertheless, we found that most people are relatively oblivious to the noise. Are people so isolated that they cannot hear it? Obviously not. But over 60% of our interviewees didn't really mind. It only became a problem if it was too loud to hear each other talking. Otherwise, it didn't affect where people sat. Many choose seats that are most convenient. That is, the nearest seat, regardless of the proximity to noise. According to some interviewees, they were only aware of the noise once they were asked. Is it the fact that noise made by vehicles, people, loudspeakers, hammering and so on is regarded as natural urban noise? Yes and no. But it seems that only noise that interrupts people's personal conversations or activities is seen as an intrusion into their private engagement with public space. In comparison with convenience, seats, nature, and sunshine, noise seemingly contributes less to the social life in Chinese urban spaces. In Whyte's movie, public space concerns the public engagement of private individuals. Here in our case study in Suzhou, we have observed the private engagement of public individuals. These 5 observations show that Western urban design guidelines, many developed from Whyte's New York analysis, do not necessarily translate to China. After all, that's what makes China interesting.